Good day, gentle viewers. In today's news, so we aren't out of the woods yet as far as delays. However, there are a number of new anime on the horizon. Also, people think that Gundam is too violent, and finally we will have some channel news here to share about upcoming projects on the channel. So without any further ado, I'm Tristan Gallant, and welcome to Glass Reflection. Let's jam. You know, I did honestly hope that we might be out of the woods with delays. But now that we are like knee deep in this second wave for the season, I think this is going to be just the norm now. So I'm not going to speak about it in the future with any kind of hope that it just won't be a thing anymore. That'd just be too depressing. Spy Classroom is the latest series of this season to receive a delay, though admittedly, it is the shortest delay that we've seen so far. Episode 8 of the series, instead of airing next week on the 23rd of February, gets a single week push into March 2nd. In its place on television, they are planning to release part 2 of Gokujo Spy Mission, which seems to be a behind-the-scenes discussion between a bunch of the voice cast. Couldn't tell you with complete certainty because despite the fact that part 1 of said video is available on YouTube via Katakawa's YouTube channel, there are no English subtitles. But then that just means that this whole thing is not really meant for an English audience anyway, unfortunately. But the delays keep on trucking as now, well, we might as well start to discuss the shows that are getting delayed before they've even started. I was ignoring this kind of news at first because, again, I was really hopeful that, you know, some things might just end up getting sorted out before the next season and whatever they announced might have been a delay would not be. But since now there are 2 shows for next season that are already pre-delayed, we might as well mention both of them. Saint Cecilia and Pastor Lawrence is an adaptation of a cute medieval fantasy revolving around the protagonist, Saint Cecilia, who provides wisdom to the townspeople and the local pastor who helps her. The adaptation was scheduled to air in April alongside most of the rest of the regular season, but unfortunately has been pushed until July, bumping it a full season away into the summer. Unfortunate. It is not the only one, however, as the second season of Masamune-kun's Revenge has also been pushed back into the summer season instead of spring. All of these delays, of course, are credited to the same problem that I should probably find a cute name for so that this website that we're on doesn't hate me forever. Probably from now on, I just might say that things are delayed due to The Nice Boat, because not only would that be a historical reference, but somewhat relevant. Why not? Nice boat from now on. But hey, now for some good news. This kind of thing should be exciting to you if you understand the relevance of what I'm about to say, and if you don't, you can either just trust me on this one or be cautiously optimistic. Netflix has confirmed an anime adaptation of the famous Naoki Urasawa manga, Pluto. Pluto, of course, is Urasawa taking a particular story arc from Tezuka's famous Astro Boy story and turning it into a murder mystery that is much darker and more thrilling than anything that the original had to offer. Now, if you've read anything from Urasawa or have watched any adaptation of his work, which you should have because it was not too long ago that I literally told all of you to watch Monster. If you know his work, then you should know that Pluto is one of his more famous ones. And it is fantastic that the series is finally getting an adaptation, especially since the manga finished way back in 2009. In fairness, however, one of the things that may have possibly delayed that is the fact that the rights could have been an issue. The live-action rights for Pluto were sold to Universal Pictures and Illumination back in 2010, just after the manga had finished, but nothing ended up coming of that. Perhaps because it was the same year that Illumination hit it big with the original Despicable Me film, and then they just kept milking that family-friendly franchise money train rather than, you know, trying to move over something that's a little bit less broad. Either way, the series is expected to be released later this year, and I, for one, am super excited about the prospect of a new Urasawa anime and also technically a new Tezuka anime being available to us. Even if it's on Netflix, because I don't expect them to market this show worth a damn. Now let's quickly cover 2 more anime announcements here. Too Cute Crisis is getting an adaptation. This manga follows an alien from an advanced civilization being sent to Earth as part of a survey team prior to a proper invasion force. She originally wants to destroy the planet for being inferior to their civilization, but on her initial trip, she stumbles into a cat cafe, encounters a cat for the first time, and begins to rethink her plans as cats are just too cute and precious to destroy. The production for the adaptation is being handled by Synergy SP, who you probably won't know by name. I sure as heck didn't. Previously, they covered a bunch of Beyblade anime and some of the later initial D stages. And most recently, they covered the Battle Game in 5 Seconds adaptation alongside Vega Entertainment, as well as a couple of cuckoos with Shin-Ai Animation last year. Also getting an adaptation, the Apothecary Diaries. Toho and OLM are collaborating to adapt this series about a young girl in a unnamed Eastern country who worked as a pharmacist before getting kidnapped and sold to the Imperial Palace as a servant. And she catches the attention of an influential eunuch, then getting involved in matters of the Imperial Court. Aside from the series looking absolutely drop-dead gorgeous by way of its PV, it has a great set of creatives behind this adaptation, from its director all the way through to 3 composers who are jointly handling the music. We don't know exactly which season of the year the show is set to premiere in, but there is a good chance it'll either be summer or fall. The spring season is only a month and a half away at this point, so if it was airing then, they probably would have included that in this announcement, I would reckon. Plus, with all of the delays going on, it might just be better to hold off with any release announcements until they know for certain how things might end up playing out. Either way, a bunch of great anime still to come this year, and I am excited to see how they turn out. Now, before we continue, I did want to give shoutouts to supporters of this channel over on Patreon, because yes, this video is not sponsored. And the more support that we get over at Patreon, the less sponsors that Glass Reflection will need at any given time. So an immense thank you, especially to patrons like Deluxe Flame, Rushane X Ferris Feet, Siriamako, Rifen Bonaparte, Ross Emerson, Omar Showman, Hector Montemayor, and Wago221. We can't continue this without your support, so however much you are able to help, I am eternally grateful. Japan's BPO watchdog group is dealing with complaints about the final episode of Gundam: A Witch from Mercury. Now, a BPO is the Broadcasting Ethics and Program Improvement Organization. They are a regulatory board for the Japanese broadcast networks, and they are the ones who deal with content that is broadcast on television so that things remain appropriate for their audiences. North America has similar organizations, and they're basically just in place to counteract complaints from parents and the like who don't want inappropriate content to be available on television at the time that their children are awake and could witness it. Because, you know, the TV is the best babysitter for your kid, and we can't have little Jimmy watching 2 girls kiss on a giant mech, now can we? Except that wasn't the problem at all. Apparently, a parent watched the show's finale with their elementary school child and claimed that the episode's final scenes were so shocking that both they and their child were stunned speechless, with another complaint saying that the gruesome scene was not appropriate for the 5 p.m. time slot that the show was aired in. Personally, I do kind of find humor in this situation. Like, I do understand and also question why this series is being aired at a 5 p.m. time slot considering its content, and that is a good complaint to have considering. However, I do find it also amusing that it has taken all the way up until this final scene to get people to notice the inappropriateness of this series for said time slot. Now, I'm not sure if Witch of Mercury's prologue ever aired on television, which does contain a lot of violence and at least one character getting shot in the head, if I remember correctly, but even still, the show itself has not shied away from darker topics. So much so that we see a character essentially get toasted in the 6th episode, if I remember correctly. Now, if all you care about is the visual aspect, all right, then perhaps that's why, but the content has been dark in this series the entire time. Sure, there is a large amount of lighthearted content in Witch of Mercury, perhaps more than Gundam is usually known for, but Witch of Mercury is not without its dark sides. So on the one hand, yeah, I kind of think it probably should be a later time slot. Honestly, if for no other reason than because I think the regulations around that time slot could actively be harming what they are allowed to showcase in this series. And I personally would not like them to be shackled like that with this show. On the other hand, I mean, if you have your elementary school kid watching people get somewhat tossed into a brain microwave while singing Happy Birthday and think that that's okay, I do question why you think a little bit of dark liquid makes that much of a difference from a content perspective. The dark things are happening regardless, even if the blood ain't there. But I guess it's all out of sight, out of mind, right? And the last thing to talk about today, we're moving. So I get to be a little bit more off script and sentimental, because the set that I am sitting on today, this set that I have been filming out of since the start of 2018, this is not the last video that will be recorded here. However, this is the last regular video, as this weekend we are moving out. It's been a good run here at the studio, but we are moving to a new studio location. And as such, that might put a little bit of a delay on our video production schedule. Now, as I said, there should be at least one-ish more videos released on the channel after this one that is filmed on this set, but this is the last news-related video that will be released on this set. And since we are doing the move this weekend, a bunch of next week will probably be a little bit dead on this channel as we prepare the new set and make sure everything actually looks good and sounds good before we attempt to actually make content on the new set. We hope not to be gone too long, and if worse comes to worse, I can technically film at a mini home studio. It's just not as well lit or sounds as good as I would like it to be, but for the moment, that is the current plans. And I'm just kind of soaking it in that this will be the last time I film here. This is, I think, the longest set I've ever had on this channel. I'm pretty sure. It doesn't help that a lot of my filming over the course of making content for this channel has always happened in some semblance of a home studio, and for most of the last like 12 or so years, I'd moved at least every year. So I think the previous longest set I ever had set up was at my current apartment for a couple of years, and then I moved here in 2018, and we've been filming out of here now since 2018. So it'll be a little bit sad to leave this room, because we recorded a lot of stuff here. But time marches on, and with any luck, we will make even better memories and better videos out of the new set once we get it set up. I'm a little bit apprehensive because there's still a lot of questions about how things are going to look, how things are going to sound in the new space. It's a bit of a larger room that I'm going to be working out of, so reverb is going to be a fun thing. But that is for future Tristan to worry about. Current Tristan is just informing you of how things are going, and if you're wondering why we are not having a couple of news videos out next week, that is the reason. But we hope to be back as soon as we can. So that is it for our show today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. And until next time, whenever that happens to be, based on our filming schedule and what videos we end up editing in the future, ladies, gentlemen, and others, watch more anime and stay frosty.